what feels better? Seems like a ridiculous question, right? We'll come back to it. But just check in with yourself. Shame or love, what feels better? And if we could have some sort of like biometric hooked up to ourselves, it would be interesting to get some data and see what is greater in our experience. Are we experiencing more shame or are we experiencing more love? Because it's not necessarily a choice, right? We don't go, I think I'm going to feel shame now. No, we feel shame as the result of something. But it would be interesting data. In my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, love always feels better. But it'd be interesting to see how much shame is actually happening within my own body, mind, and spirit. So from the beginning of time, recorded history to this very day, we have tried to make sense of the world through a paradigm of duality. We do it every day. Nature versus nurture. Good versus bad. Loyalty versus independence. Reward versus punishment. Heaven versus hell. Holy versus evil. Right versus wrong. Justice versus forgiveness. And to try to make life fit into this either-or experience, it actually limits life's expression. To deny the full expression of life, the full spectrum of experience, we could say we're trying to limit God. Have you ever heard that in terms of emotional intelligence? People don't want to feel sad, so they try to numb that down. But when you numb that down, you numb all of the emotional experience that you can possibly have in your life, including happiness. You can't have just this. We got to have it all. But what if you could expand that allness of life in your own experience, but also be a blessing to the world? Today we're going to explore our individual practice of loving at all costs. It's an interesting phrase. Loving at all costs, also known as forgiveness, and how it can liberate ourselves and the world from the harm of shaming. I'm a big believer in defining. I like to bring the words in because we probably all have a different definition in our own mind of what shame is and what love is. So here's the working definitions for the talk today. Shame is a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness or the awareness of doing something wrong, some foolish behavior, maybe something we said we didn't mean to. And then love, oh my gosh, there's so many definitions. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 15 different definitions of love. But I think there's probably 8 billion plus definitions of love. For every mind on the planet, someone has a different idea of what love's expression is. Anyone familiar with the 5 love languages? We know that we all express love differently, so our definition of love is different. But for today's working, here's the definition that I'd like to offer. An unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. That's it. The benevolent concern for life. That is love. So, shame or love, what feels better? Love, right? Shame is a natural response to the realization that we have done something wrong, that we may have harmed in some way, that we may have overstepped in some way, that we may have impinged upon someone else's life in a way that has somehow lessened their experience of themselves. However, to use shame as a tool of growth, transformation, and healing, I am compelled to lovingly put my hand up and say, excuse me, this isn't actually helping. It's not helping me, it's not helping you, it's not actually helping the planet. That's become a new purpose for me. I've never desired to actively engage in politics, but today, the amount of shaming that happens on our planet by our leaders is only sending us into a place that I don't know if we'll get out of. So I put my hand up and say, this has got to stop. Shaming does one thing. Has anyone ever worked with small children before? Ever been around a small child before? Maybe these words have left your lips. Shame on you, you should know better. Anyone ever said that? And you saw, I pointed my finger out. There's been some research that shows, and you could actually try it right now if you wanted to, or at some point today. You could come up here and try to push my arm down. And I work out as much as I can, and you probably would have a hard time. But if you came up and wagged your finger in front of my face, you don't even have to say anything. Just wag it like this. And then I try to resist you, my arm will go weak. That is a shaming movement. Shame on you. You should know better. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ever said that? That was a disgraceful thing to do. I'm so disappointed in you. I can't believe they would do that or you would do that. What kind of a person does a thing like that? These are constant phrases that we are speaking either out loud or maybe we're screaming them inside our head. And there's nothing wrong with those. I'm not going to talk about shame and then shame you for the way that you talk inside your head. I just want to illustrate the power that all of our words have, and to remind us that there's something that we can choose differently. I've been doing work in the education space, like pre-K through 12, in restorative practices and restorative justice, working with licensed clinical social workers, school psychologists, teachers, bus drivers, the people in the cafeteria, all trying to get them to realize the environment that they are co-creating for children to learn. And that oftentimes we expect kids to come in and just be these perfect things that show up and they walk single file, they sit in the chair, they do the thing, and then they go home. But that's not what happens. That's not the way life is, right? We don't just walk through life and do the thing we're supposed to do and sit down and go home. No, we have all sorts of experiences. And, some ministers joke about wherever two or more are gathered, there's going to be a problem. Because we all have different opinions about things. Right? I love my wife, but we are constantly like, this is the way you should do it. No, this is the way you should do it. We have different ways of doing things. But if there isn't an environment created for us to have differences of opinions, and we don't honor that in one another, then things can get sideways. And in our school systems, when things don't go the way we want them to go, 9 times out of 10, the only solution is punishment. Our kids get in-school suspension, They get a demerit, whatever that means. They get kicked out of school. What do they learn? If you get kicked out of school and you go home and play video games, what are you learning about decisions that you've made or that you didn't make? You're definitely not learning math. You're definitely not learning science. So what if we could create an environment, not only in our schools, but in the world, where the inevitable coming together and bumping of heads and the differencing of opinions is not grounds for punishment right away? Where we don't shame someone for thinking differently than we do. We don't have to like what they think or like what they do. But what if we could remember in that moment, as the affirmation says, today I give thanks for the experiences that leave me with a sense of dissatisfaction. Because it's an opportunity to remember dissatisfaction doesn't have to be the name of the game. Shame or love, what feels better? Love. If we could remember that and lean in and say, okay, instead of maybe saying shame on you, you should know better, you could say something along the lines, okay, this is a moment to remember who you truly are. You're wise, you're loving, you're capable of growth. Let's look at this experience and see what it has to teach us. You could say this to another, you could say this to yourself. Instead of, you should be ashamed of yourself, what if you said, okay, there's no need for shame here, because chances are, when you say you should be ashamed of yourself, that person's already shaming themselves. Has anyone ever said that to you? Were you already shaming yourself? Feeling bad? Probably displaying the body language of someone in that, like this, turning in, dropping the head? There's no need for shame. Only the courage to see clearly and return to love. Let's talk about what happened for you and see what can be learned. Instead of saying that was a disgraceful thing to do, what if we actually acknowledged what you just did caused some harm? I didn't like it. It didn't feel good. But I know it doesn't define who you are. Every mistake, every misstep is an opportunity to learn and to realign with our divine truth. What is your truth beyond what just happened? What is my truth beyond what just happened? I'll do one more. Instead of saying, I can't believe you would do that, you might say that first in your head. But then what if you paused for a moment? This is why meditation to me is so important. To take a beat and say, all right, let's get curious. Help me understand what was moving in you in this moment that you decided to do that. I want to stay connected to you because I love you, even though I don't know if I understand completely why you just did that, why you just said that. In order to do this, folks, it's not going to come just because I gave a talk today. A change is going to come, but only with our effort and practice and willingness to create something new and to exercise something new. So two of the texts that have been inspiring this talk today, one of them comes from a gentleman named Colin Tipping. He wrote a book called Radical Forgiveness. And he says that it is essential that we adopt a way of living based not on fear, control, and abuse of power, but on true forgiveness, unconditional love, and peace. My friends, the world that we have created, I'm taking ownership. We have created a world based on fear, control, and abuse of power. Do you see that? Do you realize that you're partly responsible for that? Yeah. It's not just our leaders, whether we voted them in office or not. We are the ones that co-create with life the experience that is happening. And change is going to come. Impermanence, that's one of those interesting, fancy words for nothing is permanent. Everything is constantly changing. Thank God everything is constantly changing, because I think we're ready for a change to come in this country, yes? But what are we waiting for? What if we can be the change? And here's what I want to challenge us with this week, but actually for the rest of your life. Forgiveness is not something that we need to wait and do when harm has happened. Forgiveness, to me, is like any other spiritual exercise that we should be doing on a regular basis to keep ourselves clean. Just like you brushed your teeth this morning. You didn't wait for a cavity and pain to start brushing your teeth. You just know you got to do it. Desmond Tutu said that forgiveness is not forgetting. Now, this is huge because a lot of people have some confused notions about what it means to forgive and why we forgive and who we're forgiving for. It is not to forget, but it's actually to remember, remembering and not using your right to hit back. It's a second chance for a new beginning, and the remembering part is particularly important, especially if you don't want to repeat what happened. I don't want to repeat what is happening in our world anymore. If war worked, the world would be different. If shame worked, we would be living in a different place because we all know how to shame really, really well. It doesn't work. We must remember to love. Anyone a fan of A Course in Miracles? If you're not familiar with that book, it's thick, it's dense. But let me give you a couple of gems that I think might serve us as we do this forgiveness work, as we choose shame over love. It kind of goes along with today's affirmation. Every loving thought is true. Are you willing to embrace that? Every loving thought is true. And then it goes on to say, everything else that is not a loving thought is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form that it takes. Right now in our country, I don't like what's happening. It does not feel like a reflection of the love that I understand. But what I am committed to affirming is that every unloving act and word that is spoken right now is a calling for healing. It is a calling for us to practice love in a way that we've never understood it before. Marianne Williamson, familiar with that person? A profound practitioner of A Course in Miracles, sums it up in this way. The way of the miracle worker, which you all, I don't know if you've given yourself that title, but you all realize you're miracle workers, right? If you've never thought of yourself that way before, please do. We need all of the miracle workers we can get working it right now. The way of a miracle worker is to see all human behavior as one of two things, either love or a call for love. That's it. Radical forgiveness, Colin Tippin goes on to say, is the spiritual technology that allows us to heal at the deepest level by reframing our story. I'm not a big fan of watching the news. I watch it to get informed, but have you noticed how they say the same story and then they tell it again and then they tell it again? And guess what's going to be on at 5? Guess what's going to be on at 7? Guess what's going to be on at 9? And we retell the same story over and over and over and over and over and over again. There is a level of that storytelling that locks us into a habit. It locks us into a certain way of seeing life, and we need some miracle workers to see life a little bit differently, to reframe and tell a different story, to put their hand up and say, "Excuse me, this isn't going to work anymore." Whenever I officiate a wedding, I always tell the couple, listen, wherever 2 or more are gathered, something's going to happen. But you have a choice about what that means. And in any partnership, whether it is professional, whether it is spiritual, whether it is personal, whether it is public, as a miracle worker and a spiritual practitioner of truth, we are called to remember that there is only love. And it's either going to be love that you understand, and when that happens, it's awesome because we go, yay, I get this. But I'm pretty certain you're going to have some experiences today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life that you don't understand. And you're probably going to have a couple of experiences that you don't like. It's a call for you to heal. It is a calling for us to practice love in a way that we have never done so before. To forgive ourselves, to forgive another, not to forget, but to remember, I don't need to hit back. I don't need to be mean. I don't need to be nasty. I don't need to shame myself or another in order for transformation to be. The catalyst, the greatest catalyst that I have ever witnessed for change is love. All right, we're getting to time, but I want to give you, I'm all about practice, right? I've spoken here before about my book, Soul Gym. It's about exercising our soul, our mind, body, and spirit. A muscle doesn't get strong unless we do something to give it some good resistance. A muscle doesn't get flexible unless we stretch it beyond its current comfort. So what is the practice that you can do tonight when you get home to start practicing forgiveness? Not because something has or hasn't happened, just to be in that cleansing space. We go to our Pacific Island family, Hawaiian in particular, and embrace the practice of Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Take a deep breath in right now. Exhale and close your eyes or let your attention come inward. And I want you to just see an image of yourself today. And say these words quietly in your own mind to you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And we're going to jump, just for the sake of time, to the advanced practice. Call into mind someone that is driving you crazy right now. Someone you want to just smack in the face. Someone you would like to scream at. Someone you might even want to shame and say, how in the world can you possibly do that? And say to them in your mind, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Shame or love, what feels better? I didn't say what was easier. I said what feels better. My friends, we are being called as miraculous workers of love to do this work of forgiveness, to change the bedrock from which we decide, say yes and no to life. Are you up to the challenge? All right, let's get to work. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you so much for your attention, and may the good, loving nature of God fill your heart today and forevermore. Peace and blessings.
Thank you so much, Reverend Darrell. That was amazing and a great reminder that we're all miracle workers because love never fails. So we're going to welcome back our amazing singer, Bruce Henry, and the Peter Polzak Quartet.
Good morning, everyone. I have to say good morning at least once. How you doing? Hi, how y'all doing? Hey, it's always a pleasure and a privilege to be here. My light in darkness, God is my all and all. God is my joy times of sorrow. God is my all and all. God is my today, my today and tomorrow. Oh, God is my all and all. God is the joy and the strength of my life, who rules all pain, misery, and strife. A promise to keep me and never leave me, never ever come short of His word. I've got to fast and pray, stay in the narrow way, and keep my life clean every day. I wanna go with God when God comes back. I say I've come too far and I'm never turning back. 'Cause God is, God is, God is, God is, God is my all and all. Come on, y'all. Listen. I say God is the joy and the strength of my life, who rules all pain, misery, and strife. Promise to keep me, never leave me, never, never, ever come short of the word. I've got to fast and pray, stay in the narrow way, keep my life clean every day. I wanna go with God when God comes back. I said I've come too far and I'm not turning back. 'Cause God is, God is, God is, God is, God is my all and my light, my rock, my lighthouse in the storm. God is my everything, that's why I'm holding on. I said, God is my all and all. God is my, He's my everything. God is my joy right now. God is my everything. God is my all.
Amen and amen and amen and amen. God is all in all. God is this community. God is our word. God is our giving as well as receiving. Would all of you here and online join me in our gratitude affirmation? Divine love richly flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I have, and all that I receive. I am grateful for the blessings of this day. I am grateful for the blessings on the way.